So the autism brain, right? How do you make decisions? I'm talking all about that right now. Guys, welcome back to the ASD world. What's going on? My name is Dan. I have autism, ADHD, OCD and dyslexia, and I make weekly videos all about this kind of stuff. So if you're new around here and you'd like to learn more, remember to hit that subscribe button by clicking that notification bell down below. If you're watching over on Facebook, be sure to give this page a follow, and if you're watching on Instagram, make sure to follow this account for more autism content. Boom! Guys, welcome back to the ASD world, where we think differently daily. What's going on, different thinkers? If you haven't already, make sure you go and download my free Autism Life Hacks PDF book from autismhacks.net. Completely free, just for you, because I love you. Guys, so I wanted to do this video talking about the autism brain, right? And how we make choices and decisions and how the workings create decisions. Because I was reading a study, there was a study carried out by the Weizmann Institute of Science in Israel and Carnegie Mellon University in the United States, right? And this was a cross-section study comparing the brains of adults who had high-functioning autism spectrum disorder and adults without an autism spectrum disorder. And by high-functioning, they basically mean lower support needs. That's all that means. Now, the research found that there was a greater communication difference between regions of the brain in adults with high-functioning autism than that of the people without it, but less communication between others, right? Which is kind of difficult. But I'm going to try and break it down in three pieces. Which I'll go over in a minute. The patterns also show differences between individuals with high-functioning autism, so not all people with the diagnosis had the same pattern of brain signals at rest. So when they were testing all of this, they didn't all have the same kind of brain patterns, which is super interesting. So I'm going to go through and break down the different ones for you and hopefully make some kind of sense out of this, because I thought it would be a really interesting and factful video for everybody. So number one is communication. Now, autistic people have a greater communication pattern in certain areas of the brain that cause different functions and influence their decisions to that of non-autistic people. So how autistic people make decisions of the brain, which causes functional decisions. So like when you're actively wanting to do something like creating a decision, well, I'm going to go here and do that because I really fancy doing this, right? That showed a different type of pattern in different areas of the brain that it would do in a non-autistic person. So the patterns in non-autistic people were in a different region of the brain and showed a different pattern, which is absolutely fascinating because it showed that the brain was working slightly differently in the way that it fired and triggered in different areas of the brain, which I find absolutely fantastic. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is low versus high, right? So people with lower support needs show different brain signal patterns to that of people with the higher support needs, which basically means that people with lower support needs, typically could hold down a job, verbally active, kind of like myself, and really able and capable of doing certain things. But people with higher support needs, who may need help going to the bathroom or brushing their teeth and things like this, who may be non-verbal as well, had different rationale for decisions that are based on their personalities. So the different patterns showed that their rationale for making a decision was based on their personality, not the way that their cognitive brain function worked. So a lot of people would think that all autistic people make decisions in the same way because their brains are wired a little bit differently, and if you're neurodivergent and your brain works in a certain way, in a certain pattern, that you're going to be able to kind of think the same. Kind of like when people all think that autistic people are really good at maths and they're going to be all super geniuses, which is completely bogus, right? But it showed that the decisions that were made were actually based on personality decisions rather than the rationale from actual logical thinking, which I found absolutely fascinating. Now, the third thing I'm going to talk about is IQ, or intelligence quota. The decisions an autistic person makes are not based off the level of IQ, but they're to do with the personality affinity, which basically means that when you think about autistic people, or you think about people on the autism spectrum, you're thinking that they're going to be making their decisions off of logical reasoning through their IQ, right? So if you've got a really high IQ, which a lot of people on the autism spectrum do, then you're going to have this, same ability that somebody else is going to have to use their IQ as a basis of how they form their decisions to go forward, right? But in actual fact, they make all the decisions based on personal affinity. So it's how you feel to something. If you have an affinity for something, then you will go to that path. Like if there's not a logical decision to buy something in a restaurant based off the logic of, well, this is going to be the cheapest and most nutritious meal. It's going to be based on the fact of the affinity. Well, I like hamburgers and fries, so I'm going to go and buy the hamburgers and fries because you have a personal affinity for that. And that is absolutely fascinating. Now, This study is really interesting. I have linked it down below because I found it really interesting to read. I mean, it goes on for pages and pages and pages. Now, if you're interested in the same kind of stuff as me and you really want to nerd out with this article, I highly recommend checking it out. If you have anything to add, pop it in a comment. I read every single one. I love it. If you would like to share this video on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to help somebody else, that'd be amazing. And give this video a thumbs up if you found this enjoyable. I will see you next time, guys. Peace.